are entering the Take Up, place together when the film is over. I'm your host, Joshua Ray, and I'm here with my co-hosts. First, the managing editor of thetakeup.com, Andrew Wyatt. Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
And we've got Catherine Cold Iron. Hi, Catherine.
Hello.
Today we are processing Johnny Guitar. That's my pick for the Queer Classics program. First, we've got some films now showing, and then we'll just have one more thing. A bit of disclosure for the two of you. May I? I like Furiosa more than Fury Road.
Whoa, really?
You know, I've never been hardcore Fury Road. I get it. I recognize it for the piece of filmmaking that it is, and I understand why all of you, and I say all of you because everybody loves this thing. And you know, it topped our decades end poll of local film critics and local film people as the greatest film of the 2010s. I've always thought it was kind of a messy film, like constructed messily. I think I understand.
Really?
Like I've read Kyle Buchanan's pretty exhaustive account of the making of it. It was blood, sweat, and tears making of Fury Road. And I can see why it is that. I don't think it's as perfectly mounted as everyone proposes it to be. But I do still love it. I just don't have the kind of love a lot of other people have for it.
Fair enough.
But let me just Furiosa. I mean, we can get into it if we have the time, but the special things it does, I really responded to. And I know there's a lot of criticism about the whole prequelness of it, but because I don't hold, you know, Fury Road in as high regard as everyone else, I think I'm able to ignore it, or I just don't give a shit about it. It was kind of like an exalting cinematic experience for me.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But what did you both saw it? What did you guys think of it? Catherine?
I loved it as much as it was possible to love it, I'm going to say, for someone who doesn't like Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh, okay.
So
I get that.
I just thought, like, I don't like her for both defensible reasons and indefensible ones. So I'll just, put that on the block and set it aside. But
can you put it in the chat is where I want you to put it.
But
I 100% understand what you're talking about. Not because I have indefensible reasons for not liking Taylor-Joy, but because I think we all have that for particular performers. We're just like, nah, fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck them. No good reason for it. Just fuck them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Don't like their fucking face.
My defensible reason is that I feel that filmmakers tend to give her close-ups instead of asking for performance. And I'm, that's kind of, that's the Joan Crawford trick, right? You zoom in on really, really good eyes instead of actually having them act. And I thought the film was incredibly messy in the best ways, in the sort of Scorsese messy way. And I loved the experiments that it did, even as it adhered to, I'm going to say, the formula of an epic tragedy. Like there was one scene that I noticed in particular early on where they showed a bunch of motorcyclists attacking a war rig, and it was from very far away. So you just saw like the flames and you saw the movement and all of that. And I thought that would be so close up in Fury Road. There would be no way would he have put the camera way back here if it was Fury Road, but it's not. And that's cool. And then the sequence when they killed the
spoilies.
Okay. Well, the sequence,
now you can say
it. The sequence when a somewhat central character was killed, I'm pretty sure there was like a very, very long take in there. I couldn't pay close enough attention, but it seemed like the take just went on forever. And it's so hard to do that in an action film.
This is what I'm saying about Furiosa as compared to Fury Road. Fury Road, you can see that it needed a lot of editing to get put together, to where Furiosa to me feels very symphonic, like as if you can see someone sitting down and shot by shot planning it. And that doesn't necessarily mean one is inherently better over the other, but the result to me is this much more musical, and the way you put it, epic tragedy, the way it's operatic.
Yeah, I mean, I had read Andrew's short review on Letterboxd saying that it followed the form of a saga, and I went into it thinking, okay, let's see if it follows the form of a saga, and I respectfully disagree, and I can't decide whether it quite follows the form of an epic or whether it's simply a Campbellian hero's journey structure. But I do think anyone who is disappointed with this film is expecting an exact repeat of Fury Road, and this is just a different movie. It's not better or worse, it's just a different film.
It is very different, and yet it's still very indebted to that world. And in fact, it's unique among the Mad Max films in that it is so tied to one of the other ones. Andrew, I remember you wrote the capsule for that piece that I was talking about, of the greatest St. Louis film scenes, favorite films of the teens. I think it was, this is literally me going off memory. Was it number 5 for you?
I don't remember. I don't think it was that high, because I love Fury Road. Fury Road's a 5-star film, no notes from me. But I don't think it was that high in like the 2010s overall. It wasn't even like a top film for that year for me. But that's, I don't want to get down the road of lists. I really enjoyed Furiosa for what it is. I do think that Kat gets it exactly right. If you go into it expecting Fury Road cranked up to 11, then I think maybe that is the reason for some of the disappointment, whether popularly or critically, in it, because it's
how the fuck could you turn up Fury Road any higher,
right?
And it already elegance is.
I mean, you talk about the messiness of it, but one of the things I've always loved about Fury Road is the elegance that it was an elegance that was found in the edit. I don't know, but structurally it's so simple. It's just a chase that never really loses momentum. It idles sometimes, but it never really loses that momentum, and it has this beautiful like U-turn shaped structure to the literal path that the characters take through the film. This is something wholly different. This is that, and I use saga in the loosest sense. It's not a saga in this sort of academic Icelandic way of talking about it, but hero's journey, saga, Campbellian epic. It's Beowulf, it's the Iliad for lack of a better term. That's what I kept coming back to, the chariot imagery, the characters being dragged behind. Like, I kept coming back to the Iliad, the idea of sieges, and how important, like, the idea of that tragic element that you talk about is how important that tragic element is to it. That, like, I don't get the sense that we're watching heroic characters doing heroic things because they're heroic. I get the feeling we're watching something awful play out over the course of like 20 years, 25 years.
100% yes. What we're watching is awful. Yeah. It's not a heroic tragedy at all.
And I think it does what I don't think many prequels do, which is deepen our understanding and context of the original film. It feels like it almost feels like a completely different movie that just happens to take place in the same universe as Fury Road. A completely different kind of movie. But it does make, like, Furiosa going to the green place and finding nothing there in Fury Road bite that much harder, like, with the context of this film now. No, I loved it. It's 100% wasn't what I was expecting, and I love that for it. I love that for me. Like, that I went into it going, wow, this is not what I was expecting, and I love being sort of slightly disoriented. It's messy. I think somebody said messy. There's a messiness there, but that's like, George Miller's a messy director.
Messy about it.
Well,
because
in the sense of,
I feel it's much more elegantly structured, told.
There's a lot of stuff going on stylistically, I guess. I'm more talking about what Kat mentioned about, like, that beautiful long shot. There's stuff like how
the tone and the pace are kind of all over the place compared to a standard Hollywood film. Like, Hollywood films tend to transition between tone and episodes much more, they hold your hand a lot more than this film does.
Quite literally episodic.
Oh, and yeah,
that's another thing that I am thrilled by with it. I love these distinct chapters. I mean,
there's time jumps. Some of the time jumps,
them, they're not really like Tarantino, but the structure of it could be seen like that.
I was reminded of Kill Bill a lot in the
Mm.
chapters, and the way that the chapters manipulated our emotions was very Kill Bill. The other thing I felt the need to say about it is there are movies that introduce you to a new universe that don't give you enough of that universe. They just give you like a tantalizing glimpse of what the universe is. And I feel that way about all the Mad Max movies that I've seen. I haven't seen the very, very first one, but the other ones I feel like I have so many questions. I have dozens of questions about how this universe works and how the societies work. And like some of it is not meant to be answered, but a lot of it I'm just like, there's not enough here. You're just giving us like little tiny digs. But this movie gave me enough. There was enough to have a real conception of the Mad Max universe. And that's a very satisfying feeling, even if there wasn't as much traditional setup and knockdown as there is in contemporary film.
And I think there's more to explore there too. Like I want a worker strike on the bullet farm. Like like Eisenstein, where are you? You go make that, buddy. So, but yeah, there's all these
lots of close-ups
it's
there.
just so rich. It's so right. Lots of close-ups. Well, hey, so it's a shame that the kind of story around Furiosa is about its poor box office performance and how it for some might be the bellwether of things to come, but I guess we'll find out. But either way, like for me, I'm so happy when I find a new film that I know I'll be watching a lot. And I know that this one's gonna have a lot of detail that I can just chew on for the rest of my life, the rest of my movie watching days. What about the bike riders? Fuck
more motorcycles.
Yeah. Where's Jeff Nichols been? Is his last film before this Midnight Special?
Loving.
Oh, okay. I guess that did make some waves. All right.
Yeah.
Never mind. Well, how's the bike riders? How's the Accents? The movie?
Yeah, I don't know why everybody. Maybe I am like. One thing I think I'm learning about myself is I'm not as like sensitive to bad accents as other people are. Like the things that other people like get really hung up on just go right over my head.
No, I'm not. I'm not giving quality. I'm not assigning quality at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I have seen the trailer, and literally everyone is doing a wild voice. Do the voice.
Yeah,
doing it. Jodie Comer.
Tom Hardy, of course, yeah,
and Austin Butler.
Yeah, Michael Shannon's in this. This is a big cast.
Michael Shannon also loves a voice. This is do the voice of the movie. All right, whatever. Seriously, Mike Ryder's good or what?
So this is Jeff Nichols doing his Scorsese film, for lack of a better word. And nobody can do a Scorsese film quite like Scorsese, but I think as with like Paul Thomas Anderson and Boogie Nights, sometimes good filmmakers can do really good riffs on Scorsese. And this is his Scorsese film. Specifically, this is his Goodfellas. There's a lot of ink is going to be spilled about how much how close the resemblance is stylistically and structurally, but there are some things that I took notice of as being one of the things I love about Jeff Nichols. I'll just say this right away, is I feel like he's a quintessential Heartland filmmaker, and he gets the Heartland in a way that very few American auteurs do. And when they try to venture, something about it has always felt slightly fakey. And I think that Nichols, for better or for worse, whatever you think about any one of his films, I feel like he's always done Midwestern representation.
So Oklahoma boy, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Oh, Arkansas. And I think Ohio, by way of Ohio. But he's always done really good with that. And this is another sort of like Midwestern canon film. There's something about this film that feels very. It takes place mostly in Chicago, but it doesn't feel like necessarily like a Chicago film. It feels like a Midwestern film, if that makes sense. So this is based on a photography book by a mid-century journalist who was following the real-world Chicago bike gang, the Vandals, in the 1960s. I just want to
point out that movie based on a photography book, not a promising way to begin your summary of this.
I thought the opposite. I was like, oh shit, let's go.
Well, the story as I heard it is that like Nichols saw it at somebody's house and he's like, what the fuck is this? And he became fascinated with the story behind the journalist who sort of like embedded himself off and on with this gang for about a decade, I believe. And the reason it's interesting is it corresponds almost exactly with the time period when a lot of sort of enthusiast bike gangs in the United States turned into criminal outlaw gangs. And so there's good and bad about this film. I think sometimes the Scorsese mimicking can be a little, I think sometimes the Scorsese mimicking can be pretty freaking awesome. But the thing that I really responded to here, and I think the nickels of it, if that makes sense, is that really gets to the idea about how something good can sort of slip away from you. Like Tom Hardy plays the leader of this bike gang. It's the bike gang he founded in Chicago, and it was really just for middle-aged dudes who like bikes. Like literally, that's all it was at the time. And then it slowly turned into something else. And the way that he stayed in control of it while it was mutating out from underneath his feet and not necessarily in the direction he wanted it to go. And it's just a really interesting study in that idea of losing having something that you value sort of just mutate out from underneath your feet, the way that a younger generation comes in and changes things and maybe not necessarily the way you want, and how like sort of there's a definite like downer feel to it. It's an entropic movie about how everything good and nurturing and decent will eventually be stomped on and rotted from the inside and turned into something awful by awful people. So a good time at the movies. I enjoyed it.
We love those movies.
It has a cool like multi-protagonist thing where like there's a lot of different characters who are variously the protagonists at different times. Although Jodie Comer is sort of the key narrator and she's providing most of the context. So you can imagine like the role that Karen plays in Goodfellas, but amplified to fill the whole film, where Henry doesn't get any voiceover. It's all Karen. The whole thing is from her perspective. It kind of has that feel to it.
Totally down for that.
Yeah.
Lorraine Bracco. Unless it's Medicine Man, Lorraine Bracco. Y'all know
Jodie Comer's accent is something to behold, but I quite liked it.
What is it?
I don't know. It's 1960s Chicago by way of John Waters, Baltimore. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Do the voice.
But that's going to be opening nationally, I think, in a couple weeks.
Do you two want to talk TV Glow or not?
I think Catherine and I could talk about it, but I'm not sure you want to talk about it, Josh.
Oh, I can talk.
I do want to talk about it, but if you all don't, that's fine. I'd love to talk about TV Glow.
You know what? You guys talk about TV Glow. Convince me if you want.
No, let's do it the other way. I want to hear the yuck before the
yum. No. I don't want to like. Okay, I'm not saying this to say the most jerky thing I could think of. I do feel like everyone's gaslighting me.
That's fair.
I
don't understand. And I am like, this is First Reformed all over again. I'm like, you guys gotta stop. It's leading me. I'm like, finally, I have figured out that I am in the Truman Show.
Yeah. How do I like this movie more than you do? That's what I want.
I don't know, bro.
Well, so I have to jump in and say, after I saw that you did not like this movie, Josh, I thought, okay, my only conclusion is that Josh goes to the movies for different reasons than I do.
What do you mean?
And well, like that what you're looking for out of cinema is somehow different than what I'm looking for out of cinema. And that doesn't mean that our tastes can't be the same in some places. And it doesn't mean that either of us is wrong. It's just that you must be looking for something in that film that doesn't exist for you. And I'm looking for something in that film that does exist for me. That was my conclusion. And maybe
I'm going into every film looking to meet it as it is and looking to find any sort of response or pleasure or idea, and am willing to meet any filmmaker and hope for their success in it. Like, that's really where I'm coming from. But for me, yeah, it does show that some people are just always kind of going to have a very different experience. And this thing, cheese grater
This
on
is
my brain.
this is like Elaine Bennis in the English Patient. You just standing up in the theater going, "It's bad. Why can't you all see it?"
No, but please, I don't want to do this. I want you guys to talk effusively about it because I know that there's deep, great love for this and that people are finding something so beautiful in it. And that makes me happy when I'm not having that experience, y'all.
See,
But
this is how I felt about Skinamarink. When I saw it, I was like, this is driving me insane. I have to leave. And everyone on
we'll
the
agree
internet
on that one.
oh
Okay.
yeah, this is
I'm the
great.
lone.
I'm like,
I'm the
no, it's
lone
not.
man on Skinamarink.
I feel similarly about these two films.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I saw the TV Globe. That's Jane Schoenbrun's latest film, follow up to We're All Going to the World's Fair, a film I also did not like. I think they're a talented filmmaker in a way. I think they talk about films in an interesting way. But will you guys talk about it? Like we
Sure.
spent
Rescue
5
here.
minutes me shitting on it.
No. I was really taken by it. I was not a huge fan of. I liked We're All Going to the World's Fair for what it was, but I wasn't a huge fan of it, and I was sort of walking out of it going, "Well, I can't wait to see what they do next." It was like my number one reaction to World's Fair, and I feel like this is exactly what I wanted. This is like delivering on the promise of let's give them a bigger budget, let them do the craziest stuff with their money that we can think of. And I don't know, I was vibing with every part of this, even though maybe I'm a little like too old and not queer enough to necessarily be like in the bullseye target zone for this movie. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't help but respond to the things that this film is doing, which is somehow like a really heartfelt coming of age film and a movie about watching media, consuming media, and also like vaguely a horror film in the margins. There were definitely some moments in the movie where I was like, am I having an out of body experience right now? What am I watching? Like, what's happening? What year is this? I had a lot of what year is this moments in this movie.
You don't do that.
I'm allowed to invoke Twin Peaks. Thank you very much. If I feel it, I'm allowed to invoke it.
Fine.
I also felt too old and not queer enough for this movie because I mean, I think bisexual people always feel not queer enough for whatever it is. And and yet I was dazzled by how unique and different this vision was. And I'll tell you exactly what it reminded me of was hearing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speak in her first, couple of years in office as compared to all the fucking boomer politicians who are all, in their 90s now and they're still in charge of the country. Like this is to me a way forward for American cinema where we start actually looking at what shaped us, those of us who are, 45 and younger, I'm going to say. And what shaped us is so much more complex than just television in the afternoons and going outside and playing with your friends. Like the distinction between a movie like this and a movie like Stand By Me, to me, is like that's a generational difference that this movie is expressing that I have not yet seen a film do. And that's apart from the extraordinary postmodern vision of this film, the way that it moves around between realities and doesn't follow some of the sort of established cinematic grammars of when you do the close up and when you do the long shot and when you do eye lines and stuff. It's exciting to me that that's all sort of fresh and new and different. I also liked that it was unresolved, which is a daring thing for an American film to do. And I wanted so much for the film to be a certain way, and it was not. And that's exactly right. That's kind of, I want the filmmaker to take me someplace instead of me being like, I prescribe what you should do and you're going to do it.
that maybe it's the theme of this episode, right? Like between that and Furiosa, like not doing what we want necessarily, doing something slightly different than what we want.
Not doing what we think we want. I mean,
yeah,
Laura Palmer is a great lesson there. We think we know, we think we want to know who killed Laura Palmer, but no, we don't. It's not. Once we learn that, we tune out.
I do think that there's something there about like this almost feels like an answer to a response film to the 90s nostalgia current. Like this is a film where the production design is on point. I can't fault like the use of the iconography and the landscape and the feeling of the 90s, what it was like in 90s suburbia. But so much of this movie feels like a deflation of that. The way that nothing is hardly ever lit in like full bright daylight. Everything is like grim, watery interior spaces. Even like at daytime, the skies are always kind of like pastel and semi-overcast. The way that the night sequences almost look like they're shot in ultraviolet, like blue, black, navy, but with fluorescent pink highlights on things. Like it just looks so different than any movie I've seen in a long time.
You ain't never been on Tumblr before?
Well, that's the thing. I agree with that. And it's also, hey, look, someone has come up with a solution for underlit films. Just put them in different colors, damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, come on. We just watched Johnny Guitar. Night is blue.
Underlit films now.
Okay.
As opposed to when you could get away with day for night.
Right.
I do think it's a very important, like, so again, I'm not the bullseye for this, but as I was watching it, I felt its importance. Like I'm feeling like this feels like an essential American, one of the more essential American films of the year to me as I'm watching it. Look at Josh just like head in his hand.
What the fuck? I just, guys.
We're going to have to agree to disagree here, or this is going to devolve.
But you know that, like, you know what's so crazy is like when I do reviews on KMOV and they post them to YouTube, you know, I immediately look at those comments. You know why?
Why do you do that to yourself? Masochist.
I'm fucking masochist. Oh, he went in wanting to hate The Little Mermaid. What the fuck would I want that? Why would anyone want to hate something? Like, I would love another thing to love. You know what? Let me fill this room with things that I love. I like in almost every sentence and detail, I found this so goddamn amateurish and irritating that
maybe we are gaslighting you. I don't know. I'm starting to doubt my own conviction now.
Well, no, because when I listen to the two of you, I'm like, okay, all right, fine. I will watch the fucking thing again because what I want is like, I want this experience, but I didn't.
But we all have films like this where people tell us that it's great, and it goes, no, this does not connect with me, and even
so I fully understand why I didn't like Skinamarink, and it's because I didn't grow up in one house. So the sort of unheimlichness of a single house that you know during the day, but that's foreign at night, is like that's absent from my experience, and that means that whatever Skinamarink is trying to reach out and do about unhomeliness is just going to pass by me. I can understand why you would watch this film and think it's amateurish. Like I totally can get that wavelength, but I would urge you to think of it instead as making choices that are different instead of being poor.
No, and I'm totally down for the kind of discursive film that it is. I just don't think they're doing what they think they're doing. And it all felt very, I don't know, senior thesis project, down from the performances and the choice of, I don't know. Okay. Rounding out, now showing. So, I mean, what fruitful conversations that we've talked about 3 films so far. In the last one, we have Andrew, tell us about Hong Sang-soo's latest film. What has it been? 7-8 days since his last.
I saw his last in January. I mean, I don't know when these actually get.
You're right. You're right.
I don't know when these actually get like formal New York City release dates, but it's been about 5 months since his last film.
Yeah,
I've seen.
Is this like a Takashi Miike situation where he just makes them whenever all the time?
No, not quite, because I mean, in terms of sheer volume, perhaps, but Hong Sang-soo is a South Korean filmmaker who makes these very sort of micro-budget, low-key, intimate dramas. None of them more than 90 minutes long. Tops.
No, that's not true. Sometimes sometimes they stretch.
But he's not genre hopping necessarily the way that Miyake does. So this is In Our Day. This is his latest film. It showed at Webster, I guess, a week and a half ago. But so I don't know when the next time to see it will be. But even though his films were obscure for a long time, he seems to have cut a deal recently for distribution. Cinema Guild handles his films in the U.S. and they seem to be doing well about like pushing his films out to Amazon and Apple for VOD. Like just a matter of months after they come out. So availability is like way improved from where they were even like 3 or 4 years ago. Anyway, his latest film is very sort of archetypal. Hong Sang-soo, 2 sort of different plot lines, sort of mildly bifurcated, although in this case he jumps back and forth between them. People sitting around, eating and drinking and talking about what's going on in their lives. A lot of discussions of art and food. If you've seen any of his films before, Walk Up or Novelist Film or The Woman Who Ran, there are a lot of similarities. I don't want to say that he's a filmmaker who repeats himself. I would say more like he's conducting an ongoing dialogue with his actors and himself. He's a very improvisation-based filmmaker. He's conducting a long-term dialogue over the course of like 40 films about the same topics and returning to them in slightly different keys and variations. And you either vibe with him or you don't. Kayla McCullough, our former co-host and co-founder at the Take Up, sort of turned me on to him. And now I'm sort of like fully pilled. Like I try to go to all his films and I just really enjoy them. They're so different from any experience, even in other South Korean films. They're just weirdly different. They're very sedate. You just have to enjoy the vibes of sitting with characters who are being mostly pleasant to each other, sitting around talking about food and drink and how good the food they're eating and the drinks they're drinking are and what's going on with each other and how life is treating them. And it's a lot of that.
I would shoot myself if I had to sit through a film. Like that's not for me at all.
Oh, Catherine, they're so lovely and they're sometimes very trickily told and his aesthetic is so inviting and
there's lots of zooms on cats, Josh, in this one. You'll be good to know. Lots of zooms on cats.
I was trying to talk smart and then you just outed me. Just
he likes cats.
Andrew.
He likes cats and I like cats, so that's all I need. That's the only common ground I need.
Okay, but I'm like, I want whip pans. I want explosions.
He does have
a conversation.
He does have a lot of that. I mean,
he does move the camera sometimes.
You do have to appreciate how conversation can be its own sort of drama. Like the contours of a conversation and how it unfolds. It's all shot in real time. So like there's not a lot of cutting. There's a lot of just like watching characters interact in a very realistic way. This one is maybe a bit more gentle than In Water. In Water has kind of like a melodramatic twist, the closest I've ever seen in a Hong Sang-soo film to a twist at its end. This is a more just
kind of
stylistically daring thing. Hong is losing his eyesight. So his last film, In Water, was actually shot blurred. Like the whole movie is out of focus. This one is much more closer to his maybe other films from the past 5 years or so. But I enjoyed it quite a lot. But as I said, it's an acquired taste. You're either on board with the vibes or you're not on board with the vibes. But I do recommend, if you've never seen any of his films, I do recommend you seek out one of them and just maybe take a taste and see what you think.
And that is In Our Time.
In Our Day.
Streaming. In Our Day. In Our Time is something very different.
Yeah.
All right. The Western is the prime political genre. And Nicholas Ray's Johnny Guitar from 1954 is one of the great Westerns, but it's political idea anyway.
What, we're not going to do the whole quote?
No, I'm not. All right.
Just because I'm shaking my head because I don't think this is a Western.
It's not it is a Western, but it is not a Western.
Catherine, you're like stealing my thunder here.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry, babe.
It's well-trod territory. I hate to tell you guys that.
Oh, are you telling me this film has been studied? People have studied this film? Yeah.
a little bit. So I have picked for our new series, Queer Classics, 1954 film Johnny Guitar.
This story of a woman who lived and loved too hard and wanted too much, willing to fight any odds to get it.
Down there I sell whiskey and cards. All you can buy up these stairs is a bullet in the head. Now which do you want?
Starring Joan Crawford, the screen's most dynamic artist. Sterling Hayden as Johnny Guitar.
All right, we are on to our next miniseries. That is Queer Classics in honor of Pride Month. Our greatest ally, Andrew, suggested that we take a look at queer films pre-1960. And I think that's an arbitrarily chosen date either.
As I was looking into it to try and decide what I was going to pick, I thought this was a very smart choice because there were so many more films post 1960 that it would be very easy to talk about.
And I think we should definitely get into that. These 4 films, like, we're gonna have so much fun. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun today. I don't know, y'all. Johnny Guitar. This thing makes me vibrate on a level.
Well, back up. Let me hear the origin story of Josh and Johnny Guitar.
It's not that interesting. The first time I watched it, I think I probably didn't feel it on that molecular level. And I think the second time I saw it, where I didn't have this kind of weight of expectation of its reputation as one of the big cornerstones of all the cahiers du cinema people, the auteur theory of all this of camp and queer cult classics on its shoulders. I was able to look at it for what it is, which I think is just an incredibly rich piece of Hollywood filmmaking that not only chronicles, I think, one of the great film stars, but one of the great undersung film directors who is still sort of a mystery to me, because I think his MO is chiefly simplicity on a high register. He's not the sort of filmmaker, and we're talking about Nicholas Ray, he's not the sort of filmmaker like Douglas Sirk, who's doing aesthetic and thematic, like, fucking mind flips in front of you and making you question your very core and the experience you're having with it. This film in particular, this is 1954 Western starring Joan Crawford, Sterling Hayden, Mercedes McCambridge, Borg Bond, blah, blah, blah. There's a ton of people in here. Ernest Borgnine.
Crazy cast.
It's a crazy cast. Richard Brody does have a pretty great piece that he wrote on the occasion of a film print of it, showing the time that I really got this movie was seeing it huge at Webster. Its stillness amplified on that kind of scale was really it really rocked the house. But Richard Brody did write a pretty neat piece, and whether or not you tend to agree with his opinions of this film or that film, he's an excellent writer. And I did love how he writes about the stillness of Ray's filmmaking and the sort of studied framing that Ray brings to every scene, and his organization of thought within the frames. But within that, you have these just violent explosions of people against each other and their environments. And I think that this is kind of one of the great performances is film performances Joan Crawford's in this. I kind of can't believe that I'm looking at a human being in this. And yet, at every moment, I recognize that emotion, and I recognize it through this current of uncanny insanity that I find incredibly attractive.
That is
So-
so beautifully put, Josh. I know
Oh,
you're I
thank
know
you.
you're on a roll, but uncanny insanity is exactly on point.
Well, and then I think we'll get to it, but that's why queer, right? That's why queer. And if this film doesn't have this kind of frictional duo at the center, female duo that I'm talking about at its center, I would still argue greatly for it being a queer object. I rambled.
No, that's a barn burner of an introduction.
Agreed.
And you answered my only follow-up question, which is why queer cinema? Like, why this film here?
Well,
See,
I think there's a lot to talk about with that there.
so I have tried really hard to understand what camp is. Like,
Oh.
I have worked really hard, you guys. I have read essays, I have researched, I have watched movies, I have listened to people who are far queerer than me, and I still don't understand what it is, but I know what it is when I see it. And I know that's the definition of pornography according to some judge in the 1970s, but like that's how I feel about camp. Like,
Right.
I look at this movie and I know that there is camp in here. Does it cohere to Susan Sontag's essay? I don't
Yes.
know.
Yes, it does. Where's my book? Where's my book?
I'm just saying, like, I want us to enter into a conversation about this movie with you guys knowing that I don't know what camp is, but I'm pretty sure that this is it.
All I know is that Julianne Moore looking into a refrigerator and saying, "I don't think we have enough hot dogs is camp." That's all I know.
And yet, filmmaker might argue with you that it isn't.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is the definition of camp.
Mhm.
Camp is receiving the kind of giddy pleasure from something that is so earnestly itself. You can't make camp. You can't do it. You can't purposely make camp. But what you can do is make a piece of art that is so in tune with its own soul that, you know, good taste be damned, it's going to get that emotion to you through devices like in this one that are the colors that I think this film invented. A shade of red that like the lips, her lipstick in that first scene. What is that? It's like the purple glowing red. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I definitely think that you're so right, Catherine. Like this is such a great study object for camp because it does sort of put you in this space of suspending your disbelief in what you're watching, which is a sort of stilted drama that doesn't on its surface look like anything you've ever seen. It doesn't resemble reality whatsoever. But once you dig down into it, it's this story of the great envy that creates the kind of nasty, greedy, capitalist core of this country. It's a story of like love lost. It's there's so much actually kind of going on there, and yet it's through the most delicious devices.
Delicious line readings.
Oh,
Nothing but delicious line readings. Stop.
nothing but yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm okay.
No apologies necessary.
I just love it. I just love it. Andrew, had you seen it before?
No, I've never seen this. This is like one of those bucket list films that I really had no excuse about. So I feel like this whole series is going to be good in that respect of getting me to see things that I haven't seen before for one reason or another. I do love Nicholas Ray. The films of his I've seen. In a Lonely Place, I think is like a top 3 noir of all time for me.
And yet, Catherine brought up an interesting point. Like This isn't a Western.
No,
Like,
this is a tragedy. This is
yeah.
a tragedy with horses in it.
And
No, it's a
this,
melodrama.
Well, yeah.
but it's the same way that In a Lonely Place isn't a noir. You know
No,
what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's the same way that Rebel Without a Cause isn't like a teen movie. You know, it's they're all sort of, they're playing in the playground. They're playing with the symbols of the things. And in like the instance of Rebel Without a Cause, creating the symbols of the thing, but are not the thing.
Mhm.
100% yes.
Yeah, and I'd say that like my first impression is maybe the way I know I'm not queer is that I took so much of the sincerity of this film at face value that it doesn't come off as camp to me. The psychology between the characters is so fascinating, and I take it all at face value. I take it with sincerity. Like the reason it's so lip smackingly good is because there's a sincerity there. There's a horrific, hateful sincerity to it.
Oh. When I saw this at Webster, there was one person in the audience who was bound and determined to laugh at an old movie.
Oh, those motherfuckers.
And when the fire starts and Vienna is outside, like watching her life be destroyed, that person was cackling because of the way Joan Crawford performs that. And I'm like, what are you laughing at exactly? Like, is it that you're laughing at? Do you hate that woman so much that you are actually Emma and you are cackling at her downfall?
I don't think
Or-
Emma's ever laughed at anything though, so I don't buy that either.
Correct.
Just a hateful little shrew.
What about you, Catherine? Had you seen it before?
Not going to be very popular for the next half hour. I had seen the first 20 minutes of it about like sometime last year. I put it on. Frankly, I hadn't watched it until then because I think it's in the public domain. And for the most part,
It
classical
was for a
Hollywood
while,
films, for the most part, classical Hollywood films that are in the public domain tend not to be good because the studios, if they care about it, they'll renew it. But
Oh, I got a list for you. I disagree. That's crazy. No, I mean, a lot of it is just kind of wild legal stuff that happens.
Yes.
But there is a lot more crap than good stuff.
Yes,
but yeah, I'm sorry.
That's just been experientially, anecdotally, rather than, I know Scarlet Street is like that, and it's a phenomenal film, but like a lot of the sort of Bogart movies and Cagney movies that are in the public domain are not that good. Anyway, I was going on a Joan Crawford 50s melodrama kick. So I watched, the first 20 minutes of this and I was like, this is insane. And I turned it off because it was so artificial that I couldn't stand it. I bounced off of it because of its artificiality. I went back this week and I watched the whole thing and I turned it off too soon because it got, even though its artificiality never flags, I felt like it leaned into less cliched artificiality later. I don't know how to explain
I see
that.
I know what you mean.
I just 45 minutes in, I was like, okay, all right, this is working for me now.
You know what happens at that 45-minute mark is it opens up. The first 45 minutes of this film is essentially
it's the Hateful Eight for the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's one room.
Airless.
It really is, but with intention. I mean, they're all just in Vienna's what would you call it, saloon, and here is the drama that will unfold. And it's pretty thick too. And you've got all of these tiny little segments of the drama that unfold throughout this saloon as people come in, they come out. There's a threat of like gang violence and all of these things are happening. But then it's pretty slow too throughout all of that.
I felt it was less slow than it was stagey. Like these people were reading lines instead of, and I so enjoy that both of you have said that this is a feature, not a bug, that the kind of, I don't think Crawford has ever been worse than she is in this movie. And the
Well,
idea that
that's so crazy.
that's like
Sorry.
good is fascinating to me. I also think Nicholas Ray is wildly overrated, and I don't know why the Kahir crowd picked this movie like at all. So that's all the inflammatory stuff I'm going to say for now.
I guess when I think of performance, and particularly like during that time, and performance that's born from film acting, I'm thinking about the body and the face, and the way the body and the face, kind of intentionality that those three things married together in front of a camera can create this kind of bolt of whatever I said, uncanny insanity. And for me, there's just like a fire in the heart of this performance that comes through in a way that is stagey, unrealistic, and yet it beats loud to me.
I think that's true when you think about how garish the colors are. You know, like the color in Mulholland Drive reads almost like Technicolor because it's so strong, it's so bright. But this is like Technicolor in a nightmare. It's so strong, it's so outrageous. And that you could look at that and go like, that's terrible, I'm turning away, I'm putting on sunglasses. Or you could turn towards it and say, this is so artificial that I'm going to fall in love with it. And I admire you for doing the latter. But for me, I was like, turn it down, my God.
I don't know, like for
such
me,
a pop art object. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the moment that I had complete 100% buy-in with this movie was when Joan turns to the camera, and it's almost like the great Stagecoach robbery. She looks right at me, the viewer, and levels that gun at me. And I'm like, okay, this is so stupid. I'm in. I love it. I can't, like, it's so ridiculous that she's looking right at me with those eyes and those lips and pointing a revolver right at me, and her like, she's got like
it's
a
a
ribbon.
yellow shirt with a red scarf at the end.
No, at the beginning, the first
at the beginning.
Yes, it's this black
scarf,
and white,
black with scarf, and just wearing those very straight male trousers. She looks right at me, and I'm like, did she just look at me?
I mean,
oh my gosh.
True. I do believe Crawford could turn a man to stone just looking at him. But I also felt like when she's wearing that insane white dress that is so and
never gets any blood on it. Never gets any blood on it.
No, not dirty at all. And Sterling Hayden says going around with you in that is like a lantern. And so she changes into the brightest red shirt on the planet and is like, much better. No. Yes. But it's a film, and the film continues to trumpet to all of us that it is a film. And normally I love that, but I don't know. I thought it was a poor marriage between kind of classical Hollywood mores of cinema and this sort of gigantic campy flag waving. Like, it didn't work for me as well as Cirque works for me, which I love Cirque. Maybe just because, like, I don't think Cirque could have directed Joan Crawford properly. His women tend to be softer, less,
they're not softer. They're not as still.
Okay.
Does Cirque ever do a Western?
Oh yeah.
What was his biggest Western?
Probably Taza, Son of Cochise, a 3D Western starring Rock Hudson as an indigenous person.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, but I did clock what Catherine's talking about with the staginess of it, particularly in that first opening, let's call it the opening act. The way that the actors are sort of blocked and moving around that set in a way. There's some weird, like, there's even a moment that has some weird Last Supper theatrics where they're clearly trying to get all the actors on the same side of a shot. And it doesn't look realistic at all. There are other things. You
guys a little technical question.
Okay.
How did you watch it?
Prime, I think.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking is that there's an argument about the aspect ratio of this. So it's, for a very long time, it has been shown in an Academy ratio, 1:33 to 1. But the more popular notion these days is that it's 1:66 to 1, which would mask the a little bit of the top and bottom. And so it does, for the extra nerds out there, it just changed the blocking. And yeah, space does a lot to a frame. It's a different shape, right? So some of that could be accounted for that, because it is a different experience with this, the Academy ratio, the way that Ray has put this. So it does kind of make you think that he did intend to do it for a wider frame, because when you see it with the top and bottoms mass, things are a little bit more claustrophobic and cloistered in there, just a little bit.
No, I know what you're talking about, because I think the version that I saw at some of the scenes at the end, I was like, okay, the ratio's off. Like the way that I see more of the posse's legs than I see of the tops of their heads. And I was like, okay, that's clearly some kind of rip mistake. But I did not see anything particularly unusual about the framing when I didn't think it was. This is why I think Ray is overrated. I mean, I did not see any significant difference between the way that he was shooting and cutting this film and the way that, say, John Huston or Howard Hawks would shoot and cut a film. Like it felt, aside from the performances.
You just named two of the great directors.
Yes, I did. But they were also very much color within the lines directors of classical Hollywood.
Yeah. But some of that is very thrilling too, in the way that you're able to construct within that and able to put these people against their environments and show you the relationships between each other, where the camera is put. I mean just about the art that you could achieve with a 2-ton machine.
I'm not arguing anything like that. No. I just feel like to pluck Ray out of this, 30-year period is an odd choice to me. That's all I'm saying.
The guys had weird fixations though, right? Sometimes.
Oh God, yes.
I won't argue with you there. I mean, I text our friend Pete yesterday, was like, I don't have a great handle on why the guys were so obsessed with Nicholas Ray. Like, I don't really, I have a copy of American Cinema and I'm reading like Saris's thing on there, and I'm like, no one's really like putting a fine point the way that you can with, say, Hitchcock or Howard Hawks or John Ford or Orson Welles, to name a few of their guys, and they were all guys.
But that said, I do think that like there are things in this film that, within the narrow conventions of sort of this is what Hollywood films look like, there's still things in this film that startled me. I mentioned that sort of like dead on shot of Joan early on. There's some stuff, particularly in the way, like at the same time it feels overly blocked and theatrical, but at the same time that first act also has some interesting stuff going on, like the way that Emma is positioned. Sort of, Mercedes is already a small actress, like she's a small woman, and she's wearing black constantly in the film, even before the funeral events. She's like in the center, and we have that low angle shot up of Joan up at the top of the stairs, and then the reverse of the high angle shot looking down in the sea of men in their beige hats, their dusty clothes, and Mercedes sort of right at the center of them, sort of center front, sort of accusingly pointing up at Joan. There's just cool stuff visually going on, to me at least, within the sort of confines of, this doesn't look that different than a lot of films made at the time. It's still visually cool and interesting to me. There's some stuff, the way that we could talk about character for a minute. Like I'm really fascinated with how like Vienna and Emma are sort of like the main protagonist and antagonist, right? I guess. But the way that Johnny sort of enters the film and destabilizes an already destabilized situation, and the way that that's like expressed in the way that Sterling Hayden walks around the room, and the prop business he does, and how he's destabilizing this complicated sort of situation. It's not even like a three-way triangle. We got like Vienna, Emma, the marshal, the private landowners, the dancing kid and his gang, who themselves have riffs, intra-gang riffs. It's a complicated
Well, the way
Melodrama.
I
You said
see
melodrama.
it-
It's a complicated melodrama.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is that the men in this film continue to try to center the story on themselves, but the camera keeps turning back to Mercedes McCambridge and Joan Crawford, like
Yeah.
over and over. It's like, no, we're the point of this. We're gonna drive the plot, but they don't get the most screen time. And I
Well, and try as they might too.
yeah.
They even talk about that, how they've never been, so to borrow Andrew's word he just used, destabilized by women and sort of emasculated by these women.
Yeah.
And to see a film from this time, and we know that Crawford, who also helped produce the film and just kind of cherry picked this and thought it would make great comeback material. She was having a few fallow years. It worked for a little bit, and
Yeah, but
I
stick
think
with
she made
melodramas,
some,
Joni.
but she made a few. She made like a Robert Aldrich film that I really love a couple years after this. That is like this insane. What is that? Autumn Leaves. Did you watch that one when you were doing your thing? That's
No.
fucking wild, man.
Like I watched Humoresque and
okay.
like the sort of early 50s.
Yeah.
She just pumped them out one after the other.
Yeah. But this is a film, to its credit, that does centralize two women and is about how the men fight against that and ultimately cannot win in that
No.
situation whatsoever.
And I loved, like, I really love Sterling Hayden in other movies. I did not love him in this one. And I think it's because he plays a chump really, really well in this movie. Like, I could have that
He's
wrong.
often a chump, man.
Well, yeah, but like I'm thinking of him in the heist movie, the Kubrick
The
heist
Killing.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
The Killing. He's so assured in that movie and so like
Until the last 2 minutes.
well, and so
Damn.
confident and just striding through the film beautifully. And in this one, I'm like, are you gonna do anything, buddy? Or are you just gonna hang around on her coattails? Like, it's embarrassing.
No,
Well,
he's
I feel like-
eye candy hanging around.
I feel like there's a little bit of like, I don't want to say deconstruction exactly, but there's a little bit of like undermining going on there because he struts into the movie so confident and is again sort of walking around the casino, interposing himself between these parties who are feuding and just kind of projecting this laconic, I'm above all this, can I have my cigarette and coffee kind of attitude. But then like when he's alone with Vienna, he crumbles so quickly into the I love you so much and I always wanted to be with you, like, and the way that neither of them can
Mommy!
again, like it's campy, maybe it's campy, but I responded to it the way that they both can't even talk about how much they mean to each other. They have to speak in like third person.
So when
I
you
love
talk
that
about
shit.
him
I love
kind of
that shit.
striding in and being overly confident and sort of interrupting everything with his physical presence, I don't see it that way because I've seen it before.
Mm.
So because I know how fucking puppy dog in love he is with this powerful woman, I see him going in that room and saying, that's my gal. I'm not worried a fucking bit about her. He is there. Like
She'll handle it.
This movie is so sexually perverse. Everyone
It
in this
really
film is getting some kind of carnal pleasure from people doing the wildest shit. And the way that he gets off on watching her fight. Like when she whips that gun out, she might as well be whipping her dick out for him. Like, and it's so kind of hot to watch him go around that room and sort of just observe what Vienna's been up to in the past
Not
5
to
years.
me. No, that's not how I read this scene at all.
Well,
It's
that's
so interesting.
because we both have different types then.
No, but we all read it in a different way because I looked at that and I was like, you pathetic piece of shit. Go in the kitchen, get your coffee, and let the men take care of this.
Yeah.
And like, I'm so interested in how we were all like completely opposite readings.
The way that Vienna lets him like pull the chandelier up as if she's doing him a great favor to show off his manliness. I mean,
yeah.
And she lets him drive the barouche too, doesn't she?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
So cute. I love that for them. I mean,
Yeah,
I hope we've gotten at Oh, sorry, Kat. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like that's like she'd eat him alive. They're not a good couple. Let's
Maybe he wants
not
to be
else.
eaten alive.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think, beyond all of that, I mean, I think everything that we've been talking about in its essence is queer. And I think this is a film that's about the outsider, that's sort of revels in its outsiderness, and it is sort of playing with the mainstream, but also only winking towards it. I don't think anyone necessarily is going to watch this, and I think you can definitely read like same-sex love or lust in this between Emma, well, from Emma for Vienna. I don't know that Vienna has much love or lust for Emma. It's there. Like, it is very clearly there, even if it's by proxy with the dancing kid, that it seems that way, that they were just kind of using him as a toy. I think just as the aesthetic object that it is too, this is queer cinema, and you can see how it's very colorful tendrils reach out to something like the films of Pedro Almodovar, and his very last film is a kind of play on Johnny Guitar, even if it just looks so in aesthetic and genre. So I was hoping this wouldn't be like, I mean, it's pretty well known as a camp object, but also a queer object. I was hoping, because I tend to get in trouble for my queer picks around here.
What? When have you gotten in trouble?
What makes Psycho 98 queer? And like, you're looking at the gayest fucking psycho anyone.
Okay, but okay, let me defend myself there.
Okay, I know. I'm sorry.
I came at that from perspective of not liking the Gus Van Sant Psycho at all, and so I already was ill disposed for it.
Yeah.
But I also feel like you did a really good job of mounting a defense, not just a defense of it, but a really robust articulation of why it's a queer film. And also, what Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte we did last year, right?
Was that what that?
That was our queer series, our queer
the one I
picked? Claire
Horry
series, yeah.
Claire. Oh, that was the one I picked, huh?
Yeah, that was when that was
Yeah.
that was only like 8 months ago, Josh.
Yeah, well,
Another
I mean,
lifetime.
it still makes sense to me, because that was queer baby Joshua's favorite movie. He loves his women.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You love your Gorgons.
Mhm. It's not Joan, it's Betty.
Yeah.
I do like what I want to go back to briefly to Kat's observation. This is not a Western, because one thing that I that I bounced off of was not the dialogue or the campiness of it. It's how clearly they don't give a shit about like Western realism. The fact that there are plastic poker chips in the casino and the men are clearly wearing plastic ponchos when they go underneath the waterfall. Like, there's a production design element of just not giving a shit that I slightly bounced off of. Not that I expect high realism in my classical era Westerns, but like, clearly they just, and then this goes to like Joan's like shockingly bold colors in her outfits, right? And the ridiculous white dress, like vampire bride dress that she's wearing. Like, clearly this is happening in some reality that's even a step removed from the unreality of the Hollywood Western. This is happening in some other neighboring reality over here.
Yeah, I will +1 on all of that, because I came in here prepared to be like, look, I know Westerns aren't actually realistic, but it doesn't follow the genre conventions of a Western in like any way. And Westerns
No,
tend
not
to be...
until like the last maybe 15. The last act is sort of, like
some
a
chase elements. There's a lynching.
There's stuff
yeah,
in
but
there.
Even then, there's like, Westerns tend to follow this incredibly simplistic structure, and this movie's structure is so complicated, and I think that's because it came out of a novel, so like the plot points are in the wrong places, and the turns happen unpredictably, and like, but the standoff at the end is staged all wrong for a Western, and there's no moment when the cavalry rides in. Like, it's all, this was a time, before Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, this was a time when the Western was pretty standardized, and this is so far from that standard that I wouldn't call it a Western at all.
The climax is weirdly, like, the geography of the climax is so strange. They're in
really
this
is.
house on the top of a hill, and the bulk of like the law enforcement, or the posse, I guess, is stuck behind the waterfall down the hill, and so much of it is sort of low angles and high angles, down and up. It's such a strange. You're right. The spatial aspects of that climax are very strange for the time.
What I love about it is what I love about the rhythm of the film, and this kind of strange structure of it, where really it's one half is kind of mirrors the second half, but the second half increases in speed and in emotion and tone, but also in proximity, the distance between objects. And you look at the standoff at the end, and you can kind of think of it as the inverse of the standoff in the beginning, except you've moved from a kind of domestic to the outdoors. And those two things fighting against each other, I think, makes like a really good and fun tension, especially for this film that does feel bifurcated, if only in a kind of pace.
Yeah, that's all very well said. I still would argue that this film has the structure and trappings of a melodrama way more so than like it feels like a melodrama with props.
Yeah.
with
horses,
with baby guns, with water guns.
There's the John Ford dedication to horses isn't there. There's not a lot of beautiful outdoor shots, just a few. I can go on and on, but I'm not going to.
There's some cool dynamiting. I did like the dynamite.
Oh yeah. Woo.
What's great about this time, and I respond more to these Technicolor westerns, I'll call them, I don't know, maybe someone has called them that, talking about this film and Anthony Mann's films and Bud Bedeker's films, is what they were up to in the Western, in that they moved totally away from the cavalry and moved towards like actually just dripping with cynicism, and the world is disgusting and the world is a vampire.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, even Ford turned in that direction towards the end.
Can I say something that I've been wanting to say for about 30 minutes now? When you brought up Mulholland Drive's colors, one of my favorite things to tell people is that on the original DVD and VHS pressings of Mulholland Drive, there's a pull quote from Peter Travers in Rolling Stone, of course, at the time.
I know exactly what it is. Colors that pop like a whore's lipstick.
Man. Does that stick in your craw? It sticks in my craw.
Well,
or in your brain.
Yeah.
Craw would mean you hate it.
I do hate it.
How do you hate it?
I love it and I hate it. Because that is such a, like, if a homosexual had said that.
See, but it's evocative in exactly the right way. I can't.
It's evocative. It's
Peter Travers was who I read when all of filmdom is reading Roger Ebert. I read Peter Travers instead. Yeah, so of course I remember that review, because that was like, yeah.
Good line.
It does read different if you imagine John Waters saying it.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, Johnny Guitar, can check it out. Watch it on Prime. Watch it illegally. Buy a DVD. Probably get it from your library. Go get an old public domain copy of it with colors that do not pop like a whore's lip gloss at all. But we have one more thing.
My Johnny, maybe you're cold, but you're so warm inside.
Every episode we close out with one more thing. That's one thing we've been enjoying since our previous episode. Hey, we took a little break. So our one more thing this time. Oh, they're all going to be so good. let me go first. Like, I can't wait to tell you all about this. So I understand what ASMR is for. I have never responded to it in a genuine way. I've always cringe responded to it, and I know cringe is the tool of fascists. But there's a TikTok account called Keyboard ASMR that is at creamykeyboards.asmr. Not let me
Is this a
hold
family
on.
show? Because
It isn't. After the things I've said, so let me describe. They're called creamy because they look like ice cream. Like, here, I'm showing you people. I'll link to this.
I know what
Like,
this is. Yeah.
yeah,
okay.
but they're ceramic keyboards, so they have just the most pleasant click clack that I have ever heard. As soon as the first TikTok of theirs I saw, my body went like limp in a way that I haven't been so relaxed in a long time. I'm discovering ASMR. Hold on, just listen for a second. Everyone's hitting the unsubscribe button right now.
Oh, jeez.
Wait, so what kind of keyboard do you have? A cool keyboard?
I have a clicky keyboard. Yeah. It's an Osio. I got it for $100 on Amazon and I love it. I love it. It sounds like it doesn't sound like a typewriter, but it's very clicky.
No, like these sound, the sound isn't click. It's not quite clack. It's like clock.
Okay.
Huh? I'm
Anyway,
crispy
yes,
retinas.
you should 100% like edit in the
Yeah.
sound into the show.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway,
fine.
but this is we'll go back to
Yeah. Creamy.
creamy keyboards.
Creamy. I can't believe you can hear that. Yeah. So I'm gonna buy me one of these.
That's the first step. Like once you become a keyboard guy, like next thing you know, you'll have like 20 of them stacked up on your desk.
It's true.
That's fine.
I've seen it happen.
things.
I've seen it happen.
Yep.
It's like drug addiction. I've seen it.
Do you know that I will write if it sounds like that? It might not make any sense. I might just hit same key 1,000 times. But anyway, I'm Joshua Ray. I'm Crispy Retinas on social media, giving you important updates like this. Yeah. Catherine.
My one more thing is for those of you listening who are in the greater Los Angeles area, go to the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, which is the museum that's run by the Academy that grants the Academy Awards, because they always have good stuff on display. They still have Pope of Trash, the John Waters exhibit, which all of you out there who are pridefully listening will probably enjoy that exhibit. But right now they have on display the original Dijkstraflex camera rig, which was created by John Dykstra for Star Wars, and it revolutionized the way that special effects are shot, because it's a rig that basically records the exact movement of the camera and can replicate it precisely, which means no more shaky backgrounds that look different than the foreground. He explains this in great detail in the documentary Light and Magic, but he also explains it very briefly on a great big screen at the Academy Museum where the Dijkstraflex is on display. And I saw it. It is giant. It's cool. I loved it. I also saw Sam's piano from Casablanca on that same day. It is orange.
What?
It's like
I saw this.
Nice
I saw your
color.
photos of this. It's like when
like
you find out the Addams Family was all pink,
ugh,
so that it looked good when they shot it in black and
Oh
white.
yeah. No, I saw that. I saw that.
yeah.
That's cute. I
orienting.
mean, that's very goth.
So that's Dijkstraflex. Go see it. And it has nothing to do with the word dyke, although my friend Alana insisted that it did. It does not. Dykstra is his name.
Look,
Happy
I'm glad
Pride.
she said it. And
We
where
will
can people find you online, Kat?
Oh yeah, you can find me at Fairy Frigida on Twitter, at kcoldiron.com. Yeah, I don't like Instagram, but you can find me there too.
All right, Andrew, what sort of pleasurable machine do you have to sell us today?
Well, since
Dixtroplex, ASMR keyboard.
Well, Catherine already name dropped Star Wars, so my thing is Star Wars related. I've had the kind of like developed to kind of a contentious relationship with Star Wars. I sort of grew up on it. I count myself as a fan, but sort of waxed and waned on it over the years. I somehow, for some reason, he picked it back up just recently. I watched a few episodes of early Clone Wars. I played a little Jedi Fallen Order. It's like, do I like Star Wars again? Like, am I gonna pick it up again? Fortunately, it also coincided with the release tomorrow, I believe, as of this recording, of the new Star Wars live action series, The Acolyte, on Disney Plus, which I haven't really kept up with the Disney Plus stuff other than Andor, which I absolutely loved. I'm just sort of like indifferent to all that, to most of that stuff. But I'm here to tell you that I've seen the first 4 episodes of The Acolyte, the ones that they're released for critics, and it is a good Star Wars. I liked it quite a bit.
Nope.
This is created by showrunner Leslie Headland, who was the co-creator and co-showrunner of the first season of Russian Doll, and it has a couple of actors brought over from that. But it's a fascinating sort of thing I've been waiting for a long time, which is Star Wars, which is something that has absolutely nothing to do with the Skywalker era at all. The Acolyte is set 100 years before the Phantom Menace in the so-called High Republic era. And it's sort of a mystery plot about like someone is going around killing Jedi. It's sort of like the decadent high age of the Republic and sort of its sunset era. And they're trying to figure out who it is that's doing that. Pretty bonzer cast. It's not incredibly apparent from watching the trailers and so forth who the leads are supposed to be, but after watching 1 or 2 episodes, it becomes clear that Amandla Stenberg plays sort of the major young character, and her like former mentor is played by Lee Jung-jae from Squid Game, who is phenomenal in it. He in particular, I think, is like providing a really credible case that Star Wars is at least 50% dependent on having good actors. Like if you put a good actor into Star Wars who can sell the ridiculousness of it with 100% earnestness, it works really well. And he in particular is doing good stuff on there. It's an overall pretty stacked cast. Manny Jacinto from The Good Place. Jodie Turner-Smith is in it. Daphne Keane from Logan and His Dark Materials. Just a pretty great, Carrie-Anne Moss. Pretty great cast overall. I don't really care about spoilers, but I don't really want to get too much into what the hell's going on.
Please don't.
I will say
I kind of really want to watch it.
I will
You're
say
making me want to watch it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I will say it does some really fascinating stuff we've never. It does the thing which I like about Andor, which I don't think it's on the same level as Andor because Tony Gilroy, but I feel like it's doing similar thing in that it's taking Star Wars seriously as a setting and imagining like a plot line and themes that are maybe more adult oriented. And I don't mean that in terms of like sex and violence. I mean just in like thinking about things like, what does it mean when we indoctrinate children into our monk cult? Can children really make choices, to have consensual choices about what they're getting into when they agree to go join our monk cult? And who gets to use the Force and why and things like that. I will say that the 4 episodes I saw, the first 2 are good, maybe not grab you by the throat good. And then the 3rd episode is the flashback episode where they sort of stop the action and go back and explain to you what happened before. And that's where I feel like it really got its claws into me. And then the 4th episode sort of cranks things up from there. So it does take maybe a beat or 2 before I really started to buy it.
Do you know how many episodes total this season is?
I'm
gonna guess 8, just because 8 has been the last few series that they've done have been 8.
Can confirm it is 8.
Well, that's a good size.
Yeah. I don't know.
Too many.
I've been watching Star Trek Voyager a lot lately because I'm gonna write a book of essays about Tom Paris, and the number of filler episodes in a 25 or 26 episode season is high, and I love it. I love the filler. It's
filler. Good filler is great.
Like,
the best
there's been a
X-Files
lot-
episodes are filler episodes.
Yeah, like there's been arguments about this a lot over the last, I don't know, 6 months, a year. And I'm for it. You need filler.
It depends on what the series is trying to do. I do think in
Yeah.
this instance, like I don't think this is a long-term show. This is a one-shot, and they're trying to tell a definite mystery arc. And like, there's no time for asides. This is a story about a crisis and what's happening to resolve the crisis. It has a little bit of a Star Trek vibe to it. I'm not a huge Trekkie, but I detect, because of the way that the High Republic era is depicted, as sort of like a utopian society at maybe its end point. It's kind of interesting. It has vague Star Trekky vibes to it, and it does some really cool plot stuff that I don't want to talk about, where things that you think you as the viewer are clever for figuring out right away, it disposes of very quickly and says, nope, that's not what this is about. Like, you thought you were clever because you figured out our quote unquote twist 30 minutes in. Well, we're going to reveal our twist 40 minutes in and say, nope, this is about something else. Does some cool stuff like that.
I just feel like this is superfluous to this conversation, of course, but I feel like the difference between a miniseries and a TV show is what's at issue here. And a lot of, right now, everything is being written as if it's a miniseries, when really a lot of it could be TV shows. So it could be expanded, or it could be even contracted a little bit more if it's a miniseries. And I just, like, those are two different things. You need to learn how to write those two different art forms.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I do think there's a place for both of them. Clone Wars is a TV series,
Oh,
for
yeah.
example.
For sure.
Lots of filler there, but sometimes some of the most interesting stuff was filler. So that's starting on first 2 episodes, I think, are dropping tomorrow. That would be June 4th on Disney Plus. And so far from what I've seen, I like it.
Very cool. We're going to check it out. And where can we check you out? Mm.
Ooh.
Baby.
You can find me on Letterboxd, AY at 76, and also on The Take Up, where you can find my writings and those of Josh occasionally, and Kayla, McCullough, and occasionally some other folks.
That's thetake/up.com and at TakeUp STL. All right. We are writing out for the next few episodes about some queer classics. Understand your elders, honey. Up next is our favorite ally, Andrew Wyatt. Please welcome to the stage, Andrew Wyatt. And his pick, what is it, Andrew?
Jean Cocteau's Orpheus, which I am very excited about because I have never seen it.
He's making it fancy. He's making it French. Beauty
and the Beast.
Beauty
and the Beast is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I'm very excited.
And you're a Twin Peaks fan,
Mhm.
and that's all I'll say.
Yeah,
These are some Josh Ray movies. Like, I'm so excited. This shit. Oh, and then we'll have Catherine's. We're gonna have Katie Carter back on too for a pick, but you're gonna have to wait to figure out what they're picking. Until then, I'm gonna thank Jessica Pierce for our editing and social media by Kayla McCullough. Theme music is by AMP. And until next time, take us out, Catherine.
Doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo.